John Wick. We're talking about the lovely series known as John Wick, an action fest, an orgy of action explosion.
Whoa.
It's coming up on the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. Once again, I'm Zach Briggs, joined by Justin Strange and Jake Kramers. How is everyone doing this evening?
Oh, man.
Fantastic.
I mean, great.
So what do you guys remember, I guess, your first action movie that you guys watched? And I guess, what was it? And what was your reaction? I mean, for me, I can't really recall. Probably some Jackie Chan movie, to be honest. And the kind of the B movie quality when it comes to action flicks. And eventually I saw John Wick, not even when it first came out in 2014, probably years later, and that gung fu action, a simple script, something about it got me hooked. And then the sequels and the latest John Wick movie. Mm-hmm. I think it's my favorite action series. I'm not a big action guy because of kind of the stereotype of they're not usually the best when it comes to acting or storytelling. And there's some aspects of that in the John Wick series, but overall, it's probably one of my favorite action feasts for cinema. But how about you guys when it comes to action movies? What was your first recollection?
So I think just off the top of my head, I liked a lot of comedies growing up. So the first thing I think of is Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley. Have you ever seen that movie? It's basically about a white guy who lives in, I think, Japan or something. He trains to become a ninja, but he's not that good. But then he ends up having to go back to America. And anyway, it's a funny movie. It's got Chris Farley. It's got the dude from, I forget his name, Robin Show, I think his name is. He plays on Mortal Kombat as Liu Kang, like the 90s Mortal Kombat. And it's also got Chris Rock in it. That's kind of like the first thing that pops in my head as far as action movies go, but I'm not growing up, getting older, besides like Marvel movies. So, you have Spider-Man, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, came out when 2002. So I was probably like 15 years old. I mean, I really like those movies, but as far as like straight action movies like Fast and the Furious and stuff, like I wasn't really a huge fan. And I'm still like not really a huge fan of Fast and the Furious, but I did go see Hobbs and Shaw. Me and my friend went and saw it, and I was like I don't know why we decided to go see it, but I was like, let's go see this movie. And so we did. And I mean, it was cool. Like, if you think about it, like if you're going,
that's a spinoff, right?
Yeah, it's a spinoff with Jason Statham and The Rock. Yeah. And if you think about it, you go, I went because I knew it would be pure fun, and it was pretty cool to watch all the cool set pieces and stuff. And then John Wick came about. Me and the same friend were just looking for movies to watch, and we were like, let's watch John Wick. And so we watched the first one, and then I ended up, I don't think he might have seen them on his own, but we didn't watch them together, the 2 and 3. I watched them on my own, but it's kind of like you, Zach. Like with John Wick, there was just something about it that I was like, this is dope. Like I got to see the rest of these.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. I mean, I didn't grow up with action movies, but I'm thinking like the 70s and 80s were a big decades for kind of cheeseball action movies, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and maybe Die Hard, you could argue, is up there when it comes to popular action movies. I don't really count the Bourne series. I mean, those are action movies, but I feel like they're more cinematic. Like they have more substance than just style. I mean,
the Bourne series is more like a spy thriller than a spy. It's got action in it, of course, but it is definitely a spy thriller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my introduction to action movies in general is probably something like Jackie Chan or something. We weren't allowed to watch anything past like PG-13 growing up, so I definitely had to find like some sort of campy film. I think my first action film was probably like Shanghai Nights.
Oh,
Jackie Chan and like Owen Wilson.
That's not
And it
yeah.
even
was like
like
it was like him on TBS and it
Action
came on.
comedy.
that's like the
Yeah, it was like one
sequel.
of the only. It was one of the only movies
That's funny.
that my parents would probably like let me watch until they got to that until they got to like that boudoir scene or whatever, and they tried to make me turn it off. But
Yeah, I never saw
but
those,
yeah,
but I did see Rush Hour a lot. I did really enjoy Rush Hour. Because there's comedy, action comedy, and then there was this other movie. I do remember watching this movie as a kid called The Last Dragon. I don't know if y'all have seen that, but it's like a ninja movie, kind of like Bruce Lee, but instead it's got a black lead as opposed to you know Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
that's cool.
But I never. That's been years since I've seen that movie. But I do remember watching it a couple times as a kid. And it was just like this cool ninja movie.
Yeah, I got introduced to John Wick at a summer camp. So I stepped at a summer camp, and we were in tents, but they were kind of large, and we still had power. So people would bring like their Xboxes and DVD players and TVs and stuff from home, and we'd all be out and living in the woods for like a month. But we all had TVs and stuff. So it was this weird dichotomy of just like roughing it and then just like this wanton, wanton technology. And I remember this dude running through camp. It was like, we're gonna watch a movie, and I'm like, what movie is it? He's like, John Wick. I'm like, I don't. What's John Wick? He's like, well, this guy has a dog, and they kill his fucking dog, and he just goes fucking ham on everybody. And I'm like, all right, that sounds dope. And that was my introduction to John Wick.
There's the synopsis right there.
I mean, yeah, they kill his dog.
They kill his dog, and he goes ham.
Well, they killed the dog that his wife gave him. I mean, he had just gotten that dog.
Yeah, true. But I mean, like, if you just want someone to watch a movie, if you just want to give a 30-second, like, what happens, like,
That's it. Yeah,
that's it.
that is totally.
And honestly, I don't blame him.
I mean, I get it because it was the dog that his wife gave to him after she died. Like I would be pretty upset too if she's like, "You gotta love something," and then dead. Oh, poor dog. The way they had it like laying down whenever he wakes up, he's just like.
That's what I was trying to. I was trying to figure out if they drug it over to him or if that dog was like still alive and limped its way over to him before.
No, I think
both of those are sad.
Yeah, but I think he was already dead, and they laid him like that. Is my guess.
God, yeah, I definitely don't blame him now.
Yeah, I guess we could just start with overall thoughts about John Wick. I mean, this guy that comes out of retirement and justifiably because some Russian
Idiot.
high table related mob killed his dog, and it was his last gift of sorts from his wife, and yeah, he was mad.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that really intrigued me, and I obviously can't speak for everyone, but the thing that really caught me was like it's such a simple plot, but they have so much world building within it. Like, he goes to the Continental, he has a hotel, and there's these coins, and there's this network, and everyone's an assassin, and it's just like, who are these people? How did they get here? How do they set this up? And it made me want more. It's like, yes, I want this dude to avenge his dog. I want him to just obliterate everyone, but I also want to know what is up with the hotel.
Well, the thing that really intrigued me was the whole networking system they have, where they use like old school operators plugging in phones and stuff, and then they use old school computers to put the hits out. And they're like, it's like, and they're like writing on a chalkboard, John Wick, 17 million, and then it's going to send the hit out to people's modern cell phones from these old computers. And I was like, and not only that, but like the way these people are dressed, they're all dressed the same. You notice that?
Yeah.
They all they're like they're like all emo people.
There's clearly
tattoos
uniform
everywhere.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. Like, this is what you have to look like in order to work here. And even I don't know if you guys have seen Gotham, and I don't remember which one it was, but the dude that plays the Penguin in Gotham is part of that. And he's dressed like he's got like piercings, and he's got his dark hair that he has, the same hair he has in Gotham. And he's got like tattoos and stuff. And I was just like that was what intrigued me the most, was that whole system of networking to get all this information out to all the assassins was pretty cool.
I think
Yeah.
they just did a really good job of building up this unspoken history of John Wick and the world that he
Yeah.
came from. And so it just intrigued the audience to want to know more.
Right.
You know,
Make
it
us
just like this.
totally like they make us have to figure it out
Yeah.
on our own, which is
He's
fine.
this mysterious figure. And in the first movie, especially, they have references to his past as a killer and him somehow completing the ultimate task. And we don't really know what that is, but even after, especially after John Wick 4, people are wondering, hey, we need a prequel now of John Wick and his days before he retired, and what the Russian guy in the first one he was alluding to when he said that John Wick is he completed that special task of probably killing so many people to be able to earn his I guess retirement.
Right. And he killed
so
3 men with a
killed
pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in the second movie, wasn't it? That he actually used a pencil to
he started
to kill
but
people.
He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't actually kill anybody with it. I don't think.
Like the Joker.
That was different. That was a little different, but it was funny nonetheless.
Yeah, but so the end of the first movie, John Wick. It's interesting how it starts. You see him on the kind of suffering on the ground in the rain, and then the movie ends similar, like him coming up, and then I think that's when he goes into the dog humane society or whatever, and gets that
That's a new one.
dog that we see that in the sequels.
Yeah,
Yeah, they what do they call it? They end at the beginning or the begin at the end,
Yeah.
which if you go to like a film class, you'll get complained at for that. It's like if you've got an interesting story, you don't start at the end because it gives it away. It's cheap, it's lazy.
Well,
But if you do it right,
a lot of times it's more like they start in the middle or like right after, because like with that scene, it wasn't necessarily at the end, but it was getting there. But it was more like
yeah,
it was more like the middle of or maybe a little bit past the middle, as opposed to just being like the end. Because a lot of times people will do that. It's just I'm kind of torn because it is interesting, right? It's like, how did they get here? But it's also, it can be seen as kind of lazy. You can just, instead of starting with that, you can just start with the movie, and we'll see that part later. But I don't know. I guess it depends on the kind of filmmaker you are.
They also show the video of him
And his
on the
wife.
beach with his wife. Like they do it
Doesn't-
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they do
so,
it in John Wick 4 as well.
Yeah, the same video.
And I was like,
But-
oh, there's that video, because I don't think they do it in 2 or 3. It's mostly 1 and then 4.
yeah.
Which I thought was kind of a nice callback to John Wick.
I think there's like one or like just no, in 2 there are pictures in his house.
Right,
that they
but I'm
see
talking about
burned.
that specific video.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
He
you're
always
right.
has it on his phone. How does he not lose his? I'm sure he's lost phones and his fights and
Got it
stuff.
back up in the cloud, baby.
Man, yeah, the cloud. I'm sure they have some sort of cloud with the.
They probably
with
have like a cloud program, it's like the Assassin's Creed or something, and it's
Yeah.
like up.
It's yeah, they have uploaded it somewhere, I'm sure. Or he has, one phone that he doesn't use as a phone. He just has it for the video, which is very
Yeah.
possible, because we don't ever see him lose it. Like not that I remember, we don't ever see him lose that video. Although that would be a interesting, like they could put that in there. It would be fun to see him lose that video, or not lose it, but maybe someone jacks the phone and he has to get that back too. But
I like how in the sequels he leaves the U.S. and he goes to other countries and visits other like bases or continentals of sorts.
I did
Goes to
like
Italy in the second one.
Yeah, and they went to Osaka and John Wick 4, and I thought that was pretty cool to see, that continental too. Like you get to see all these different continentals, different parts of the world. It's kind of neat. I had to look up some of the words they use. Like, what is the word they use whenever they shut down a continental? Dang it, what is that word that they use? Decomit.
Deconsecrated?
Deconsecrated,
Yeah,
yes.
deconsecrated.
I had to look that up. I was like, is that a real word? Because, it doesn't sound like a real
Yeah.
word. It's a real word.
Yeah.
They
It's like
use
making
words.
unholy.
Yeah, pretty much just saying, it's here, but you can't use it anymore. You're fired, pretty much.
Well, because like their whole deal was
high
like
table's weird.
there's no blood spilled on the ground,
Mhm.
right? There's the idea of like a consecrated church or a consecrated place where
Okay,
you
that
have
makes more sense.
reverence. You have reverence for
Sure.
the space that you're in, and so when they say like it's deconsecrated, it's like that reverence is gone. The rules that we had set in place don't apply anymore. It's essentially whatever benefit you had being on this ground no longer applies to you.
But they
So
also,
basically, it's a way of saying like you're not safe anymore.
yeah, it's I think they deconsecrated it so that they could kill on it. The high table, I guess, the assassins could come in there and do. But they also fired, Winston, if I'm not mistaken.
Good old Winston. He's a conniving guy.
Yeah, but I like him.
For him. Yeah. So it was end of 2, right? Where John Wick breaks the rules and
I believe
kills Santino, that Italian
Yeah.
dude, and
So like
that sets off the high fast pacedness of the future movies he's on.
the
run
motivations
again.
for John Wick 1 and 2 are really simple. The first one, they kill his dog. The second one, they blow up his house. That's like those are his motivations. They fucked with him, right?
Right.
And then 3 and 4 are the consequences of his actions because throughout the whole series you're like rules separate us from the animals. The whole network is so lawful, right? Like that was the thing that was so interesting for me as well. There's all these assassins. They make their living killing people, but they have all these rules and restrictions that they place on themselves to maintain a functioning network.
They have their own
and that was
currency
really
and everything.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me. And the fact that they kind of had these like
It's like they have their
arbitrary,
own.
I guess, but they feel almost
Yeah.
arbitrary. Like if you're a dude and you kill people for a living, who cares whether or not you kill someone in a hotel or not? Just because everyone agrees that you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, but the consequences for that are like even that chick, that girl that tries to kill John Wick because they've raised up his hit or whatever, his bounty, and she tries to kill him, and then they kill her. Like,
yeah.
So there are consequences. It's not just like don't do this because they said not to. It's like don't do this or you'll be killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like in the fourth movie, I mean, if that the Skarsgård's character didn't, I guess, adhere and agree to do that challenge, maybe there could have been some consequences for him, even though he's kind of high up.
Well, no, yeah, that was exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It painted into a corner.
That guy was funny.
It was not confident either. Yeah.
He was
I didn't
funny.
know that. I didn't know that Bill Skarsgård was in that movie. Like, did you guys realize he was in that movie?
I didn't
before you
realize.
saw that?
I didn't realize that was him. Now that you mention his name, because it's the main bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize
the French
that was
guy.
him. I did think he looks kind of familiar, but I never looked him up. I didn't really care. But now that you mentioned, I'm like, oh, yeah, that does kind of look like him. Now that you
Like, I didn't know he was in that movie at all. So that was surprising when he showed up on screen.
Yeah, he did good. I liked his character because he was very overconfident that he didn't deserve, or he didn't deserve that confidence. And then at the end, when he's like, "I claim this bullet" or whatever, and then he's like, "Nah, dude, he didn't shoot."
I remember realizing that in the movie, like, wait, he didn't shoot yet. Something's gonna happen.
Well,
hopefully.
that's what I thought too, because he like shot him, and I was like, oh, okay, he's dead or whatever. And then my friend was sitting next to me. We went and saw it together, and when he went to shoot him, he was like, he didn't shoot. And then even Winston, I think, said he didn't pull the trigger. I was like, oh, that's hilarious! Like, what an idiot! And then
it's like he just interrupted Winston and shot him anyway. Yeah, so I think one of my favorite John Wick movies, it's got to be 3. I mean, probably next to 4. I mean, the opening scene in the library with the big old, I don't know, I'm assuming it's Russian, the whole being thrown and thrashed around against the bookcases, and then the Wick, smaller than that big hulking guy, uses a book break his jaw. I mean, that was just so visceral.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no music during
And
that. I loved it.
I shuddered when he did that.
Mm-hmm.
When he like put his head on his book and just like snapped his neck with it. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I will
I don't
say
think there wasn't much of that in number 4. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say
that type of
compared
scene.
to the first three, there wasn't nearly as much gore and like hardcore assassinating than there were in the first three. I almost felt in number 4 that John Wick had a little bit of plot armor because 1 through 3, like that dude gets effed up, right? Like he's getting stabbed and shot, and he's going to doctors, getting his wounds fixed, and people
Hit
use
by
his
cars.
injuries to his advantage and stuff.
Yeah.
And then season 4, I think in like the first 30
Season
seconds or
4.
something, he like gets hit by like 3 cars, and he's like up and running. And I'm like, dude, there ain't no way.
Yeah, recharged from number 3, I guess. Fully recharged after getting shot and falling off the Continental.
Yeah.
I wonder did John Wick know that Winston was going to do that? Or was it planned? No.
I don't think so. Because he mentions it later. He's like, says something about it, and Woods like, I had to, or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Oh, when they meet at that weird place in New York. It wasn't a
Yeah.
cemetery necessarily. Maybe it was. I don't know. It might have been.
I think it was a cemetery.
Yeah.
That was a cemetery for
Sharon.
second.
Oh,
Yes. Sharon. Lance Reddick.
yeah. He's dead.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, since he died, and the actor Lance Reddick died in real life, and it was very sad. I mean, seeing his death in the movie, it kind of hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, I would agree. Like,
it was a valiant death, though.
yeah, I totally would agree. Like, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my God, like, do we know how he died? Like, not the character, but the man?
I don't.
I'm not sure.
Okay, because I was just curious if he already knew known he was going to die, kind of like, what's his face?
It's like, I'm not going to make it. Kill me off.
Black Panther. What's his name? Chad Boseman.
Chadwick.
Chadwick Boseman. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He had colon cancer, and I don't know if he knew he was going to die, but I'm sure at one point he knew he was going to die. So I'm just curious if he knew he was going to die in real life. And
I don't know.
Then he, it's like the parallel. He's going to die in the movie and die in real life. Like, I don't.
Apparently,
Lance was doing press. I was watching numerous interviews where he's with the entire cast of John Wick 4. He seems healthy and he's talking and jovial.
Yeah.
according to Google, Lance's death was caused by heart disease, although his family disagrees. The official cause is heart disease, but his family is disputing that.
Well, if you stay till the very end of the credits of John Wick 4, past the post credits, you see I think in memory or some type of tribute. Lance Reddick. I stayed for the very end, but I wish they would have included that a little bit earlier in the credits. I don't know. Maybe it was kind of a last minute thing.
When I went to the movies, it was they had the in tribute at the very beginning.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. They
it
should have
said
done
like
that for every theater.
in tribute Lance Reddick, and then it Kanye's fist hitting the board. So it was at the very beginning.
Oh, they should have done that for every screening.
I didn't see that because I stayed for the post. What was the post credit scene again in 4?
It was a really sad scene about the Asian.
Oh yes, that's right.
His comeuppance.
And the girl,
Revenge. Yeah.
the chick,
The
the
cycle
Asian
continues.
girl.
Yeah.
She's gonna be.
She was going to try to kill Kane. Who
Aren't they
killed her father?
Aren't they doing a spinoff with her? Or are they?
I don't know.
I
Not
thought it
for
was
sure.
with
Anna de Armas.
I don't. Well, I know they mentioned it. I don't know. I just know that they were going to do a spinoff, and my friend was like, "Oh, yeah, looks like they're setting up for the spinoff." And I was like, "But I didn't realize it was going to be with her."
Yeah, it's not confirmed it's not confirmed with the Asian gal, but it is confirmed with Anna de Armas's character.
Oh, Anna
The
de Armas'
ballerina.
character. She in those movies?
I think she briefly in 3.
I don't remember seeing her.
I don't remember seeing her at all.
I know she was in James Bond.
Maybe that's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah,
because she plays
she was
probably a
in
similar role.
No Time to Die. She was very they needed another agent really quick. She showed up and then she left. That was it. And James Bond.
I guess in terms of cinematography of fights, I feel like John Wick does an excellent job at showcasing a fight sequence, kung fu, gung fu, what do they call it, and long long takes, and it's not jump cutty like maybe Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy, or like the Bourne series, where it's just it's hard to understand what's going on.
I mean,
sequences.
That's what you get when your directors are former stuntmen, right? The directors for John Wick, Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, I believe that's how you pronounce the names. I could be totally wrong. They're the directors for the John Wick series, and they were stuntmen before they got into directing. They actually were just stuntmen directors, so they know the choreography of doing stunts inside and out, right? Like that's the reason why John Wick is so good. And in some of their other movies, their style's almost pretty recognizable at this point. Atomic Blonde, Bullet Train, Nobody, Santa Slay. All these movies are directed or produced by these guys. That's and cool. They know what and they have this incredible network of stuntmen at their disposal, right? So they've got these really talented people who know how to do stunts, know how to take a hit, and they know how to incorporate the camera to make those stunts sell.
Yeah.
So I think that's just, it's one of those situations where the talent perfectly meets, right?
Yeah.
But you could definitely tell it that their work is leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the other Hollywood action.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think in 3, the scene, I think it's kind of somewhat in the beginning. I forgot. I haven't seen number 3 for a while, but the scene with John Wick fending off like a bunch of guys in that, I don't know, was it like a museum or some home? And there's like a bunch of knives, a lot of blades involved.
Oh yeah, that was 3.
Oh yeah, the Hall of Knives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the Hall of Knives, and
that was
eventually
cool.
Just like two guys look at each other and they bash through the glass with all the cutlery, you could call it, and they're just like stabbing, just throwing knives at each other, and one like lands between John Wick's legs, and eventually stabs the guy in the eye. I mean, that again, I think 3 was quite a lot more visceral than number 4, which a lot of the deaths were just guns and just getting hit by cars and the flamethrower or the shotgun that shot flaming bullets.
The Dragon's Breath.
Yeah.
Which that was an amazing sequence.
Yeah,
that's
I want to talk
about sequences that
even
outside of the John Wick films, like that's just cinema experience in general. That is up there. Like that is some of the most creative filmmaking.
That cool sequence, and
we're talking about the top down shot. When he's making his way through the
that one, it made me think of I don't know if you guys it's a video game like Grand Theft Auto 2, and like top down, like Diablo and stuff. That's what it kind of made me think of, where you go through like Grand Theft Auto 2, Hotline Miami, like some of those games where you go through different rooms and just like it's like a shooting people, killing them. That's what that made me think. I was like, man, this is so cool, and I wish it would have stayed up there when him and that other guy, I forgot his character's name. It's the black guy.
Nobody.
Is that his name?
Yeah, that's the name he gave himself.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm Nobody. Yeah,
I was a little annoyed when he called himself that, because I'm thinking Mr. Nobody or whatever. Is it Mr. Nobody? Or is his just named Nobody in the movie? But yeah, I feel like he should be Nobody, because I feel like they could just connect him in this universe, but different organizations, obviously.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I don't know. What'd you guys think about that?
Nobody?
The sequence.
Man.
Were you expecting that sequence? The bird's eye?
I had heard rumors about it, but I kind of intentionally kept myself in the dark. But it was amazing. That's just some creative filmmaking.
Could you tell where cuts might have been? I mean, I was just trying to make it like a one take thing, but I mean, could you see maybe where cuts in the sequence were made?
No,
as far as I'm aware of, that was one take.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, that's one take. I've actually got an article up here.
Yeah.
So it was shot in a studio built in Germany. It's a one take, and all the light, and this is because they're talking about the lighting and the film and stuff. All the lighting you see comes from outside the set. they ended up doing like 8 or 10 like takes before they got the one that we see in the film. But yeah, that's a one shot.
Yeah. It
Wow.
looks like it's one
It's
take.
amazing.
And I mean, they'd have to do some pretty smooth cutting for it for them to have cuts, which isn't out of the realm of impossible or possible or whatever, but it looked like one take to me.
Yeah, I thought they would have maybe done cuts where you don't see him briefly as they transition to a different room where the camera goes. But
I mean, they could probably splice different takes together
yeah,
using like the door frames and the walls and stuff.
that's what I was thinking
But
potentially.
they really wanted to do John Wick 4 in particular. They really wanted to do as much in camera as possible. So like the fight with John Wick and whatever that big Chungus dude is, the Russian guy with the gold teeth.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that there's like a whole bunch? There's been like an upsurging of like just fat suited villains in films.
Oh yeah, that was in Berlin, right? That was the German guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was a beautiful.
Anyway, like all
atmosphere.
the water, like 95% of the water in that takes all real. They actually had like all in camera and all in production and stuff like that. So they really wanted this stuff to be in
Practical.
be in camera.
Yeah, I can't imagine working in that environment. Like your suit's getting wet and heavy, and you're trying to fight and roll around. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just kind of deal with it.
But that I think when he has to do that favor for his, I guess his clan or his people, essentially, he has to go to kill the German guy. The big boss.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that the atmosphere of that scene, the lighting coming from above, and that you see him dealing the cards, and it's like a comic booky villain, like it just straight up.
What do you guys think the frame rate was when they were playing cards? Because I noticed in the theater that I feel like they did like. If the movie's in 24 or something, like they did that scene was in 60 or something like that, because it was exceptionally smooth. It was different from the rest of the movie.
I don't know what scene you're talking about. Can you?
The scene where John Wick, Kane, Nobody, and the mob boss are all playing cards to decide who gets to kill who.
A conundrum.
Maybe I don't remember. Weird.
It was right before he fought the fat guy.
I guess I need to see it again.
But they're playing cards, and because he's like a card shark, and so nobody gets like a royal flush, and John gets two of them, or like two pairs or something like that. But when the boss is laying down his five of a kind, that sequence, whatever they did was a different frame rate. It's everything, because it wasn't in slow motion. It didn't feel like it was necessarily in slow motion.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like a lot more smooth and a lot more crisp than we were used to seeing up till then. Almost like, and I know like there's a purpose for that. Like they're like, this dude's not normal, right? Like it was definitely a creative decision that they had.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
It was just very interesting to me.
That scene.
Yeah, it looks good. I don't remember that scene. Oh, here's
something else I loved about
after Osaka
that scene, and a lot of the other ones is just how wide they shot everything. Like the majority of that movie, I was trying to figure out what millimeter it was shot on. I was like anywhere from 14 to 24. It worked perfectly because they got to see everything. Like that was definitely another creative.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of their choice of frame majority of this movie?
Of what?
Their frame, the fact that they shot wide almost exclusively.
I mean, I love wide lenses, so to me, I mean, works for me. Like totally down for wide lenses all the time. I don't know what it is about wide shots, but I mean, it works, and it helps with those. They can expand the fighting a little bit more. I think they're not so crammed in this smaller frame where they can do cooler moves and stuff if they need to, like flying and stuff. I don't mean there wasn't a lot of flying around like the Matrix or anything, but cool stuff that they can do. They have more room to do it.
Yeah, because I know this film, John Wick 4, like I say, like we're not talking about all four of them. I know John Wick 4 was shot with a large format camera, the Alexa LF, versus the original three, which was shot on a Super 35, the Alexa SXT, I think. So versus the 35 versus I think this is a little wider than that. It was like 36 or something like that. So it's not like the widest or largest sensor that you can get a hold of. Like there's Super 65s. But still, the fact that they shot in large format and shot with wide angle, I think really gave the film a particular look that we didn't see in the first three movies.
I wonder why they decided to do that this time compared to the other three.
Might have more money.
I don't know, but the Alexa LF is such a pretty camera.
You're such a pretty
Alexa LF was used for the Batman, Banshees of Inisherin, Better Call Saul, The Rings of Power.
Rings.
And I have noticed that if I compare John Wick 4 to some of the other movies I've seen that shot on it, it certainly does have a certain aesthetic to it.
A lot of more.
John Wick 4 was just it was a circus. There was so much going on.
Yeah,
it was bloated with killing and different types of battle arenas. Like I like in Paris, that car chase, like that area where it's like a roundabout looking type of thing, and all those cars going around, and somehow Wick is just dodging all these cars at the same time trying to defend himself from these guys after him. I thought that was a well done scene. I thought it was also kind of weird how, in general, it seems like people don't recognize what's going on. Like when there was all this fighting happening, like in John Wick 2, when he's like, there's that silenced pistols going on, the little battle with the science. I mean, that was kind of hilarious. Like, how can no one can see that there's two people shooting? Again, I know it's a little bit out of the realm. It's not supposed to be totally realistic, but in general, it seems like citizens are robots in a way. Even in the
I liked in 4 in the roundabout, there's like three people shooting at each other, and like this little car rolls up, starts honking, there's horn at them. I'm like, if I see 3 dudes doing gung fu in front of my car, I'm not doing jack, man. I'm hitting reverse and going the other direction.
I feel like they got to have some type of like code not to like kill or even like shoot random like people that aren't a part of this network, so to speak. I feel like there's some type of code, and like, why aren't the police notified? Why aren't they on the streets? Like,
I mean,
what's the whole deal with that? I'm curious.
And they explained that in John 1 and Wick 1, when the police showed up at his door. And they're like, is there anything going on? And he was like, nah. And he's like, are you working again? Like they got
the police are below the high table.
They're in the network.
Oh shit! So so the high table has a stranglehold on law enforcement, every type, I guess.
Oh,
even the president of every country, I guess.
The president, dude, how amazing would that be if they had like a John Wick 5 and like the president is an assassin?
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine.
Welcome to the Washington Continental, sir.
Yeah, but I like the character Winston. There's something about his Ian McShane's acting. He's one of the better actors out of the series. Every scene with him in it's just fantastic. His dialogue and interactions with John. He seems like he's always wanting something. He's trying to get his hotel back. He's just trying to avoid being slumped down to the ground. And that's the prequel series coming out this year on the Peacock, I believe, streaming service, is going to be about a young Winston and his rise
through,
I guess, leading to the Continental, which would be interesting. Yeah.
Is that part of Anna de Mars? Or is that just
this is
Anna de Mars? Yeah, no, this is a totally different. This is a series that's going to be coming out on streaming service, and yeah, Ballerina is going to be an actual movie.
Man, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I do remember reading something about that. I thought that was kind of a neat.
What?
It's like Alfred. It's like Pennyworth.
Yeah, it's going to take place in the
I think it's kind of
70s.
interesting how these streaming services are creating TV shows based off movies. Like Batman's doing it with
Penguin.
Penguin.
Well, I know
And now with
that.
the John Wick series doing. What do you guys feel like that? Because like I've always felt. I mean, Disney Plus is doing it a little bit,
What the Marvel
but
stuff? Yeah.
they but they've kind of like built that interconnectivity from the very beginning. How do you guys feel about having like a movie that's very much made for the theater, and then suddenly they're making a TV show
I mean,
that's essentially a continuation of that movie?
they've been doing it
Well,
for years.
yeah, I mean, the TV show is going to be and take place in the 1970s and featuring Winston and his interactions with the society.
I mean,
So
it doesn't.
it's more of a prequel
Yeah.
of sorts.
It doesn't bother me. Like, if anything, if it's a prequel about Winston, then we're gonna get to know Winston, and he's probably one of my favorite characters besides John Wick, So it's like it's cool. I'm cool with it. In it, I was just actually talking about this with my niece recently, and it's not about a TV show based off a movie, but it is a TV show based off books. Harry Potter series, is getting its own TV show, and they were kind of like, oh, that's stupid. I was like, well, if you think about it, now they're able to add more stuff because it's just like a rehash of the Harry Potter books, from what I
They're able to
understand.
they're able to be more authentic to
Well,
the author's
exactly.
intentions.
They can take this, the stuff that they weren't able to put in the movies and put it in the TV show. So it's actually not that bad. So I mean, it doesn't. They've been doing stuff like this, like Limitless. Came out with the TV show, and I think Twin Peaks was a movie. Was Twin Peaks a movie before it became a TV show? I want to say I saw that, but I could be wrong. And Mission Impossible was a TV show before it became a movie franchise. So
That's true. Yeah.
they do that with TV shows a lot, like 21 Jump Street. It's just it's fine. It's whatever. I like the idea of getting to know Winston a little bit more.
I'm open to it. It kind of reminds me of now the canceled show called Pennyworth.
Well, yeah,
About-
that's what I just said. Yeah.
Did you say that? Oh.
Yeah, I did. That's it with
Uh-huh.
Pennyworth. That's what I was just thinking with Pennyworth and like Agent Carter.
But that's its own thing entirely. I mean, there was nothing to
Right, it didn't really
establish
connect anything.
Yeah, which I mean, it's fine, but I feel like nowadays IPs are going to be like, yeah, we're going to just make a thing that's connected to what we already have established.
They don't.
Not do our own standalone deal.
That's like James Gunn's DCU. We talked about this. He's like, here's what we got, and every actor that's cast is going to play themselves no matter what. I'm like, okay, but can you do stuff? Well, they got the Elseworld stuff, and it's like, can you do stuff that doesn't have to be connected to everything? Like, it's cool. It's cool if you do that, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine that like with this Winston series, it's like I'll totally watch it, because I like John Wick. I like the whole franchise, so it's fine with me.
But people are like, we need John Wick to make it interesting. I mean, it could be totally tonally different than the action-packed
John Wick.
John Wick series. I mean, I'd be fine with that too. A different type of genre, but
It'd be more like a
I'm
drama.
more interested in just the building of the world. Like that's
Yeah.
what's interesting to me. I'm cool if they do. They could be a comedy. It could be whatever. Like I just want to know more about that universe. How did they set that up?
yeah, I still feel like the High Table is this very mysterious thing. I mean, it was alluded to and probably even explicitly said in John Wick 4, and like Winston asks John, you can't kill them all. They'll just be popping up like that. And I mean, John Wick, what does he say? He feels like if he dies, what's that one quote about living and dying? He says it to, I think, Donnie Yen's character in the church before they have to later duel. I don't know, but it was some philosophical quote that I felt was pretty interesting. Did you guys anticipate that John Wick would, quote unquote, die?
Not really. Didn't catch me by surprise. I was like, oh my God. But I was like, oh, he's dead. That's kind of.
I kind of realized
he was.
when he was running up the stairs to the
That was a cool scene.
show off. I'm like, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna end. How could it end? And then I realized there's not really a good. There's not really like a fulfilling ending with him alive. So I thought, when he was running up the stairs, I'm like, he's probably gonna die.
Well,
I
he won the
wasn't sure
duel.
if he was gonna die from like, from Kane. I thought he was gonna die from like, I thought he was essentially gonna give up and let Kane shoot him to so Kane can see his daughter, right? So he didn't
Right.
die the way I expected him to. But yeah, I figured he would probably have to die for the movie.
Yeah, I don't. I think he was shot in the areas similar to when he shot his doctor colleague that fixed him up. So maybe Kane
Mhm.
shot him in the areas where it wouldn't be lethal,
Fatal. Mhm.
fatal.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I mean, Winston, can you take me home or whatever? I mean, after that, there's so much we don't see of him, him being taken to New York and all that. So I think it's purposely ambiguous to open the door for if they want to do another movie. But I think his death is, as John Wick is symbolic, but whatever his real name is, Giordani, whatever, he's probably maybe living a life away from this
Kind of like Batman.
this environment.
Like
Yeah.
Christian
So
Bale's Batman.
I think that's the way it kind of feels to me. It wasn't very satisfying as far as the death.
Yeah.
So
It was
I think
like-
it opens the door for me.
It's funny because we see his tombstone, and I'm just like, is he dead though? It's like, is he really
Yeah,
dead?
because Lawrence Fishburne's character, the king, the Valerie King. Yeah. So do you think he's in heaven or hell? And Winston's like, who knows, or something. He's like,
Yeah,
and he kind of chuckles when he says it.
yeah. He's
Who
like,
knows?
he's probably not in either one of those places.
So I was looking at because I'm still on the lenses. I was looking at the lenses that they used. The Alpha Large Format X2 anamorphic lenses. These are large format anamorphic lenses, which Ari is trying to get branded as like a brand new format, essentially. The largest or the widest lens they have is 40. The widest lens that they have is a 40.
Wow.
So all those wide shots that we saw weren't from wide lenses because the widest that they have is only a 40.
I'm gonna need a gun. That's my favorite quote in that whole movie.
What are your thoughts about John Wick's dialogue and what they give Keanu Reeves to work with? I think it works for Keanu, to be honest.
I think it works for him.
Well, yeah, it does. I agree. Like, I think it's almost like he's trying to be, William Shatner in Star Trek. He's like, I'm gonna need a gun. It's just the way his speech is, and it's. I don't know if I noticed it at first in the first, but it kind of develops like that throughout, and I'm just like, I dig it. Like, I'm totally down for it. It's pretty cool. Where he kind of like he's
my
kinda,
favorite as far as dialogue for John Wick. He's probably speaks the most at one time in the first one, and it has the most emotion as far as you kind of feeling for this guy that just lost his dog and lost his
wife,
soon to lose his home and his wife. So it just
My
So
wife.
see him, he's sitting down, and
John's
he's
not a man of many words, right? So in Wick 1, he says a total of 511 words through the whole movie. In Wick 4, he has a total of 380.
Yeah, I can
The whole
believe
movie.
it.
It's a 3-hour movie, and he says 380 words.
3-hour movie.
You didn't need to really. He's trying to.
He could have just fought.
Live.
And that would have been okay. I do like the style of fighting they have in those movies with because you call it what, gung fu.
That's what
And
they call it. Apparently, the makers.
And I actually, because I thought about this throughout, and I love how he'll one thing I love that he does is when he shoots, he's like, and then it's out and he just throws the gun and hits him in the face. I love it when he does that because he did it a few times throughout the movies, all the movies, and he runs out of bullets and then he just chucks it at their face and it hits them and they fall over. And I do enjoy the mixture of fighting and shooting, and he when I don't remember which one it was, but they had that armor, and so he couldn't shoot them. He had to open up. He had to bend their necks so he could shoot their necks. And that
was 3.
I know it
The
was one of
Continental.
the two
Yeah.
middle ones. Well,
It was
yeah, I
three,
think it was
yeah,
like
because it ends with Winston shooting him. Yeah.
yeah, he like has to get in their neck so he can shoot that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was a
Uh,
great. That was a great entire sequence, and then the hotel manager even busts out a shotgun and starts killing people.
oh yeah, there's some cool fighting going on in there. Like,
I remember we had Halle Berry's character with
oh
the
yeah,
dogs. That was the first time we saw like the inclusion of trained dogs to attack people, and then we had nobody with dogs as well.
with
That was
his,
cool.
it was cool, but
I wish we
I
saw more. I wanted more of Halle Berry's character, like The Return or something. Like that's maybe a spinoff with her, maybe not an entire show, but I just want to see more of her character. I feel like she and John they obviously have a past as far as working together.
she was a manager of a Continental as well, right? And what?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
was it
which
like
one was it?
Middle East or something?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because she takes him to see one of the elders or whatever. Or
Oh
one
yeah,
of
the one that you killed in the
Yeah.
beginning
Yeah, because
of number 4.
yeah, well, because he shoots her dog, right? But he has a bulletproof vest on, so he lives. But you're right.
I think they kind of overused the bulletproof like vest. I mean, you saw them like using like a bat.
Oh yeah, he
Hey,
pulls up
yeah.
his
Everyone
his
was doing
jacket.
it.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, what if he shoots you in the hand? Like
Honestly,
you-
like,
you- doesn't
kind of
work
what made that movie possible because they're shooting people so much. There's no way any of those people would live
right. But
if they didn't have something.
they've like sewn or this Kevlar material into their suits, which I thought was pretty neat.
I
But
want
I'm
one
like,
of those.
yeah, me too. I would totally wear one.
Probably heavy.
I mean, I don't know why I would wear it or where I'd wear it too, but man, I'd be like, I got Kevlar in this, so try to shoot me. Go ahead and shoot me.
Yeah, surely the president has such a suit. Probably not
Right.
though.
Or he just wears a bulletproof vest.
How about I guess the music. I'm a big music guy. I mean, it's a lot of
I don't really
upbeat
remember
rock type music. I mean, I feel like they used a lot of themes from the first one in number 4. It's a lot
Yeah.
of during the fight scenes. It's very subtle. It's not
I was gonna say,
melodic, but I recognize some of the music.
I didn't. The music did make a big impression on me. It's just kind of your standard cinematic or whatever type music. I don't know. I guess I'd have to watch it again and really listen because I've seen it all before, but when I watched them recently, it was the first time in a few years. So I was just watching the movie, and sometimes I'll notice music, but like when I went and saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, I listened for the music, But
Yeah.
um,
And
but
Jack
John
Black
Wick-
has a song, right? Or something that's
yes, he
be
does.
nominated.
It's apparently charting the top 100 Billboard right now, and it's eligible for an Oscar apparently. Well, it's like, oh
Interesting.
boy, like I liked it, but man, I didn't like it that much.
I have to see that movie.
Yeah,
But I think John Wick 4, the ending scene, it's like an orange background, and John Wick's looking into the sky, and he's on the stairs. There is that synth, that very 80s sounding synth music going on. I was like, wow, and I like that. I probably shared that in the group chat.
you probably did.
Yeah, but that was I like that.
I like that.
I need more of that.
Well, look it up on Spotify. I bet it's there. I bet you can find the whole album.
It's on YouTube, I think. That's where I found it initially. So, where do you guys think John Wick goes from here? And do you think, are you open to there being a proper reason for him to come back in a John Wick 5? Because I think a lot of people are accepting that this is maybe a satisfying death. But I mean, at least for me, based on how they presented it, and there's lots of holes, and we don't see him being buried. I guess we don't need to, but there's just the dialogue of heaven or hell, and the little chuckle, and then you see the dog perk up a little bit. People saying, "Hey, he's looking at John Wick in the distance." I don't know, but I don't think it's definitive from my perspective that he's dead. But I would be open to a 5th one. But I'm down for spinoffs in the meantime.
Yeah, I would agree. Like when he he did ask Winston to take him home, and I was like, oh okay, and then it showed us
That's a code for something.
Yeah,
that's a code.
and that well then it shows his tombstone. I'm like, oh, like he's dead. So I don't 100% believe he's dead. I'm okay if he's dead. But I'm also okay if he somehow, it's like Phil Coulson in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He dies or we think he's dead in Avengers, but then he's, they're somehow magically revived him or whatever for the show. And I'm like, that's a little different. Like, I'm like, oh, come on. You just wanted Phil Coulson in this show. And so I'm more okay with John Wick being alive still than Phil Coulson. Like,
I think they should wait till. They should wait till 2030 because I think it was the first one or the second one where Aurelio, the Italian guy, says, "I'll have your Mustang ready by Christmas 2030." So I think that'd be kind of nice. So nice little homage. John Wick comes back and one of his first scenes is going to Aurelio to pick up his Mustang, and John Wick's a lot older. So I think that'd be great.
I don't know. I feel like it was a satisfying ending.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree.
I'm totally cool with him being dead. I still want them to explore the universe, and I think it'd be cool to see him pop up as a supporting character in other Assassins movies. Like, oh, he comes up in name or he pops in. This is some sort of prequel or something. He pops in and he helps out someone. Like, oh, the Baba Yaga, and he disappears. He just becomes a supporting character. I think that would be pretty cool. So we keep getting him in the series, but it's not directly focused on him anymore.
I mean, I'd be okay with that too. I would actually be okay if they just picked out a younger actor to play John Wick and did a prequel series with him. As long as it was a good actor that could really, play the part. It wouldn't. I wouldn't just be anybody like they did with Dumb and Dumber or with two randos that because that's the movie where Harry and Lloyd meet and there's just two stupid actors and it was a dumb movie. So that I'm not okay with. But if they found somebody that could really embody the John Wick and Keanu Reeves, I'd be okay if they did something to where they showed him when he was younger, kind of coming up in the ranks of this assassin,
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Cool. Oh, no deepfake?
No, I don't need that. I think
no digital de-aging.
No, I was looking at an article and the director talking about his potential his wish list for if there was a number 5 and a sequel or a spinoff, but he mentioned specifically sequel. He wants Cillian Murphy and Colin Farrell as actors to appear in a 5th movie. You know those actors, right? Penguin and Peaky Blinders guy
and Scarecrow.
Shoot, I feel like both of those guys would be great villains. But again, I mean, I'm pleased with the ending, but I feel like it's purposely not definitive for sure. I mean, even when the directors in interviews say, "Yeah, we're just taking a break with Keanu Reeves right now as far as number 5," because you look at IMDb, John Wick 5, it says pre-production type of thing, but that's probably before the pandemic. So I think there were definitive plans for 5, but there's just kind of taking a break.
Well, I think they had originally planned for a 4 and 5, but they changed it.
It was November 2022. I'm looking at IMDb. John Wick 5, 5th installment, pre-production. Who knows? The world will never know.
Well, they might
but some people, I'm looking at several articles right now, just in the news section. I type in John Wick 5. It says 6 reasons why John Wick 5 should happen instead of more spin-offs. How the John Wick franchise fits into the bloody tradition of the revenge film genre. That sounds like an interesting article. Anyways, any last words about John Wick?
It's a good movie.
I'm gonna need a gun. No, I
need a new suit.
I like with John Wick, I mentioned this earlier. It was a real surprise to me how much I really enjoy the John Wick franchise. So when it finally comes out, in a home video, as they used to call it,
home video.
Yeah, I'll buy it and rewatch them all.
Yeah, lots of. Especially since I haven't seen the first 3 in a while. I'll probably make watching them all
the better,
more enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But something about number 1 on a technical issue with the Blu-ray, it has Dolby Atmos in it, but for some reason, it just you can hardly ever hear the dialogue amidst all the carnage, and I think maybe the music's too loud. But it's only with number 1. Only number 1 has that issue for me with the Dolby Atmos.
I mean, that might just be how they mixed it. Some movies are like that. Tenet's terrible for that. The Dark Knight Rises was there a little bit.
Mhm.
Some movies, it's just real quiet and then it blows up in your ears and then it gets real quiet again. Some movies are just mixed poorly.
Yeah.
And in number one, I don't think it's made so much the dialogue, but I want to hear more of the guns sounding more prominent when they fire off. It's like I'm used to, at least in number 2 and 3, which I saw in theaters, like the gun sounds are a lot more prominent amidst like the music and all that. But who knows? And I think Prime, they're introducing where you could adjust the dialogue volume in movies on their catalog, which
Well, that's neat.
is pretty cool. I mean, maybe for Tenet as well. Unless that's wasn't that like an artistic decision to have the dialogue?
That was very
audible?
much an artistic decision on Nolan's point.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie yet.
He's
I
come
need
out
to.
and saying it. It's good. I've seen it about 3 times. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. They say it doesn't make sense. It's we've talked about it before. It's one of those movies you have to think through.
Well, maybe
It's a
we should
thinker
watch
film.
it and talk about it.
I would love that. We should do that.
I really want to talk.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Great discussion about John Wick. Make sure to follow us, Fantastic Mr. Podcast, on all of our social medias.
Nice.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
YouTube.
anywhere you get your podcasts these days.
Well.
YouTube, Spotify. You guys want to close? Anything else?
Nope,
We good to
I'm
go.
good.
Let us know what your favorite John Wick movie is, and if you think Wick is indeed dead.
You sound like a radio announcer. You think Wick is indeed dead. Until next time. All right, well,
Where's
we'll
your
see
little
you guys.
bye that you say?
We'll see you next week. All right. Bye.
Have a fantastic day.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.